Hello everybody, I am Sammy 15 the Dragon Sim here today. And today we're doing yet another deck review, not deck review, but interview and deck profile with the great Andrew Estrada, who managed to win Worlds a couple years ago. So thank you once again for being on my channel.
Thanks so much, man. It's good to be here.
That's it. Oh, come on, you don't mean that. I'm just a scrub. Anyway, before we get too much into it, going to week one, which was Michigan, correct?
Yeah.
Why did you decide to play this Yveltal Zoroark deck?
Actually, funny story is I've had a bit of a fallback in the game. I went to one regionals in the beginning of the year around September. I did okay there at top 64, and so I got 15 points there. I won a league challenge, and I came second at another league challenge. So I was sitting at around 42 points. So I didn't really play any cities or any tournaments after that at all. Wow. So going into provincials, I only had 42 points. Due to school, work, I've been busy. I got a girlfriend recently, so like I'm dedicating a lot of time to her in school and just a bunch of stuff. So so like I only had 42 points, and the only cards I had were Yveltal cards, and I was actually missing Shamans and Zoroarks and Gallades and like everything still. So it was probably like the cheapest thing I could find online. I got like a really good deal off a European player, and I think I got like a 2/2 Zoroark line, 2 Gallades, and like basically all the new YZG stuff, like the new Fright Night Yveltal for like $20 or something like that. It was a good deal. So I just bought all that online, borrowed a couple Shamans, and yeah, just went into the tournament with it. I didn't play a single game with the deck until the night before. I played about maybe 3 games versus Night March, and I won all 3 of them. So I was like, you know what, the deck's doing okay in testing. I kind of built it based on mental calculations that I made, kind of just like mentally played out scenarios in my head and was like, okay, I think this card would be good enough for it. Okay, maybe I should put this card in it. I only like draw tested with it, so like I goldfished. Like that was like all my testing. So basically, that's just how it went.
Goldfish testing is still testing.
Yeah.
So, what were the list I have currently shown up here on my screen is a list from your last week, which was week 4 in Quebec. What are the differences between week 1 and week 4?
Okay, so week 1, I actually didn't play a Toad, a Drudagon, or a Giovanni's. That was all new. Actually, I didn't play a Giovanni's in week 3, which is Ontario. But the list is pretty much very similar. Like I think for week 1, the cuts were instead of Toad and Drudagon and Giovanni's, I had a second Shaman, I had a second Yveltal EX, and I had a 4th Acrobike. So those were pretty much the changes I had in week 1. Week 3, I ended up cutting a Acrobike and an Yveltal EX for Toad and the Drudagon, just because I felt like the Drudagon would help a lot against Vespiquen, which was rising in popularity online. And the Toad I figured would be really good against Night March, especially with fighting Fury Belt. Toad's just really good against a lot of things too. Like, you know, I played against an Entei in Michigan round 1, so like at the same time, like I thought Entei would be like a thing. So like I didn't really know better in the meta, so I just figured why not? I'll put in a Toad, like it could be really good against a lot of decks, and like it actually was really good throughout the last 2 provincials. So yeah. So
walk us through your Wisconsin States run. I believe that was a 7-round States, correct?
Yeah. Oh, it's actually Michigan, by the way, but it's okay.
Michigan.
No worries.
My bad. But walk us through your tournament. What did you play against in round 1?
I played against Entei round 1, actually. It was really weird. It was like Entei Camerupt. I actually didn't know what an Entei was until like the morning of. I found out what an Entei was like 10 minutes before the tournament, and I looked at it and I was like, wow, this card's pretty good. So I didn't play Toad at the time, so when the guy like flipped over Entei and Camerupts, I was like, what the heck is this? Unfortunately for him, he didn't draw that well, and I started Fright Night and I was going first. So I think within 4 turns, I took 4 prizes off 2 Camerupts back to back. So I think I did like 180 between the 2 EXs in like 3 turns, and after that, one of my Yveltal EXs just came up and swept with like Hex Maniacs after turn. And pretty much game 2 was pretty similar. I just brought up Yveltal EX with a Fighting Fury Belt and like swept the field.
Yeah.
But like it was really weird because like he was able to get Camerups out of nowhere because he played the basic like the stage 1 Camerupt as well, besides Camerupt EX. So like besides Blacksmith obviously. So like basically what he would do is that he would just bring up a Camerupt, attach a DC, Blacksmith, and like attach energies from his discard to his bench Camerups, and then he played 4 energy switch. He would just energy switch them all to his active and just discard all these energies and just do like 200 damage out of nowhere. One shotting my Yveltal EX is like, and this was all out of nowhere, and I was like, wow, like what do I do against this? Gallade was very good game 2. I didn't use it. I didn't get it out game 1, but yeah, like I was able to pull that win off.
Nice, nice. But all right, for round 2, what did you face there?
Okay, it's another funny story. Round 2, I'm facing Houndoom. I have no idea what a Houndoom is, right? He mulligans fire energies, and I'm like, okay, fire energies is probably Entei again. Like, I can't believe I'm facing Entei again, because all my friends were telling me that Entei was a bad matchup for me. But like, it was okay. Like, I didn't have that. It was alright for me, like round 1. But like, I didn't really know much about it, right? So the guy flips over like Houndoom, and I'm like, I basically take his card. I'm like, what the heck is this, right? So I'm reading Houndoom, and he's playing Bunnelbees, and I'm like, oh, I think this used to be like a deck back in the day or during Cities, or I don't really know what it was.
Yeah.
Game 1, I just completely misplay because like I have no idea what the heck to do against it. So I ended up scooping after like 5 turns because like I've Sycamore like literally every turn. I don't know what I'm really doing. I don't really know what to dig for. The guy's playing like AZs and like crushing hammers and like not headringers and like all this other random stuff, right? And like Bunnelby just comes up and trick shovels, and I'm just like, whatever, right? Game 2 was pretty funny because like game 2 I kind of just got Gallade out and swapped with a fat Yveltal, and that kind of just like won the board state. And game 3 was pretty much the same thing, but like I kind of figured out the strategy after game 1 how to beat it, so I was able to take 2 wins against that game 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That deck seemed to frazzle you a little bit and made you act like a little bit like a scrub, but you eventually came back and showed them that you really are a good player.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah. But how did round 3 go?
Okay, so round 3 is getting a little more interesting because I start facing my buddies from Canada. Because at that point, there was a lot of Canadian players at Michigan. So like at this point, I'd faced 2 American players. Round 3, I'm facing, I think it was either my friend Jason Lum or Marvin Lubanzon. I forget which one, but both of them were within rounds 3 and 4, so it honestly doesn't matter. But I think round 3, I ended up facing Jason, and he was playing Night March, and I lost game 1 pretty bad. I think I just drew really, really bad. I remember just like I think he donked me by game 2. And then games 2 and 3, I kind of just won with like Baby Yveltal, Zorgs, Gallades, and then game 3 we went to time actually, so none of us were able to win, so we tied the series. And round 4 against my other friend from Canada, Marvin Lubanzon, he's playing Vespiquen Vileplume. I did take the win off that. I think I just ended up winning by like setting up Yveltal EXs. I was able to draw really well under item lock. Like I think under item lock I was able to just have a supporter every turn. And every time I would play a supporter, I would always draw into like my Zoroark lines, and I would draw into like my Yveltal EXs and my energies, and yeah, like it was pretty good. And I got Gallade out turn 1, game 1, I think. So like that was really good, contributing to it. And then Fright Night was really, really good. I think I Lysandered up his Vileplume game 2, and then that was the end of the game because he couldn't retreat it. Because I played Zoroark too, so one of my plays was like I Lysandered it, and I Zoroark this bench DC. And then at that point he didn't have anything because like he would have run out of energies. So that was round 3 and 4. So at this point I'm 3-0-1.
Yeah, 3-0-1. Going to round 5.
Yeah, went around 5. So round 5 I'm facing against my friend, another Canadian player actually, Main Ahmed. So he's playing another Vespiquen actually, Vespiquen Yveltal with bats. That was a little more interesting. It was kind of funny because he dead drew game 1, and I'm pretty sure I dead drew game 2, and then so we were 1-1 at this point. And in game 3, he doesn't draw that well either, and I think I just run really hot. I think I got 2 Gallades out that game, and my Zoroark lines were really good against it, and I was just able to pull off. So I was able to trade really well with the Vespiquens, and I think there was one really, really crucial turn where like he attached a DC, but he didn't attack with it. So I was able to Zoroark his bench DC and knock out his active Vespiquen with a DC on it. So I was able to get rid of 2 DCs in one turn. And he didn't play Puzzle of Time, so that was a huge play on my part. Yeah. And I think at that point he just ran out of resources, and that was basically it.
Yeah, I think with Vespiquen Vileplume, I think if you attach another DCE to a bench Pokemon that when you don't really need to, I think that's kind of a misplay because, like you said, like you just did, they can Zoroark or just do something, or Hammer or something like that if they use Hex or something.
I mean, he had a big hand, so I think he was just worried about me like judging him or something like that. Because he knew I played judge because I used it game one, or
Yeah.
sorry, I used it game two against him. But because he had a big hand and like he didn't have much going for him besides just like an energy. So like I think he just like wanted to play it safe. He didn't hit any dark energies. Like he played a really weird like low count of energies. I'm pretty sure he only played like maybe 3 dark energies and he was playing like 3 Yveltal. So like the counts were a little unusual for me at least, but I mean I mean whatever, it worked for him, right? So like I'm not gonna criticize his list, but I mean he didn't hit the dark energy on that point, so I just remember him having the DC.
That's fair enough. That's fair.
Yeah.
So you're 401 going into round six, and
Yeah.
you're basically winning in position. How do you feel?
Basically, yeah. I'm feeling pretty good about this. I have no idea what everyone's like playing top tables because a lot of my games are finishing pretty late.
Yeah.
So, round six I actually get paired up against Manectric.
Oh.
So I saw the guy's going first too. He's like he sees his face when I flip over a Zoria and an Yveltal, so he's basically like just a baby Yveltal, not the EX one. But
Yeah.
I see his face. You can tell he's looking like pretty good. Like he attaches an energy to Manectric. It's all good. He gets he's playing actually Manectric Garbiter, Manectric Garbiter with Shamans and Hoopa, of course.
Yeah.
But he basically just flips over Manectric, passes. And my turn was pretty funny because it was pretty funny because like I open Zoria. I think I draw like a baby Yveltal and I just bench it. I have a float stone in my hand, so I'm able to float stone the Zoria, and I think I just end up burning my hand and get a Gallade out and get a PC. So I was able to one shot the Manectric turn one with the Gallade with the energy on it, and I think his face when I dropped the Gallade, he kind of just looked at me like, "Oh wow, I'm so screwed."
He's like, oh shit.
And he was actually able to make kind of a comeback because he was able to bring up a Manectric and Zoroark my DC off the Gallade and attach his own flash energy or his own like I forget the name of the lightning energy. What's the energy called again? That like you have no weakness.
I think it is flash energy.
Yeah, I think it's flash energy. I just forgot the name. But yeah, I didn't know what that did either. So I kind of looked at it. I was like, wow, this card's really good actually. My Zoroark is gonna come really clutch here. So he was able to get me for a couple turns where I had to attack with Baby Yveltal, and he almost made a comeback. And he was in a good spot after a while, but I ended up ripping out a second Gallade.
Oof.
And yeah, at that point, I think at that point, just the 2 Gallades plus the Zoroarks just swept this field. He actually had to overbench. So there's one point where he had 5 bench Pokemon on his bench, and yeah, my Zoroarks were just really good. So I think at that point, I just hit with Zoroark, and I would just finish the Manectric off with the Gallade. I prized my Zoroark at game 1 actually, ironically. So I had to 2-shot the Manectrics, but I was already like pretty ahead at that point. So. And then game 2 was like same thing, honestly. Like I think game 2 I just got the Gallade out too, and then the one Gallade just swept his field. Like he didn't draw that. He didn't get as good as he didn't get like as good like in terms of drawing, like game 2 as he was like I think he had to discard his Zoroark and his like he played Enhanced Hammers too, so that was really good too. So I think he had to discard his Zoroark, his Enhanced Hammers, and his like 2 VS Seekers off his Sycamore turn 1. So he didn't have much going for him mid game. So I think the one Gallade just pretty much swept the field. I had the Zoroark in deck, so every time he attached a flash, I was just able to Zoroark then one shot, then Zoroark then one shot.
Ah, that's just brutal.
So at this point, I'm 501. I'm really hoping I face another 501 or 60 or something like that.
Yeah.
To get into cut. And last round, I ended up facing my friend from Canada, Simon Wong, and we both ID at table 1. He was really cool about it. He's nice. He's an awesome guy. Shout out to him actually.
Yeah, it's always nice when you can ID last round. It always sucks when you have to play it out. What do you feel?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you feel like you have to play it out the last round because you're just kind of scared that you'll bubble out. But if you look at the tables and look at the pairings and see that there's probably not a very good chance you'll bubble out, then I feel like you probably should ID.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. It's really tough in those situations because like you want to make it, but then the stress is.
Yeah. So you are you're going to top 8 pretty much undefeated. No, you are undefeated, and I believe with Michigan, top 8 was the next day, correct?
Yeah, top 8 was the next day.
Yeah. So
I'm facing Kevin Baxter in top 8, so I'm pretty nervous about that because like everyone's telling me the night of that he's like the Yveltal mirror matchup king. Like he's been playing Yveltal all cities, He's played Yveltal like every tournament of like basically cities, league challenges, even like regionals apparently, and everyone's just telling me he's amazing at the mirror matchup, and I'm just like sitting here like, okay, I built my deck like a week ago, and I've never played a mirror matchup in my life, so
Yeah,
I have no idea what to do in the mirror, and he's probably played it a million times.
yeah. I know for a fact he's been playing Yveltal pretty much since it came out.
Yeah, like at that point, I was pretty nervous. Not gonna lie, I was like kind of stressing out. I was like, okay, whatever. You know, I came here to have a good time. Like honestly, the only reason why I even came to Michigan was because I wanted a break from work. I wanted a break from school. Like I was like my friend offered me a ride in his car, and I was like, you know what? It's been so long. It's been months since I played Pokemon. I'll just head out. You know what?
Yeah.
Let's just give it a shot. So like at that point, I was stressed out, but at the same time, if I lost, I lost. It wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I had no plans of getting the invite at that point. Because like I only had 42 points, right? So I was like, come on, how likely is it that I get the invite with no cities and no anything?
Right?
Yeah, no worlds points either because I dropped at worlds. Basically top 8. Actually, the night before, I'm not gonna lie, I ended up looking up. I looked up one of his Kevin Baxter's videos from Squeaky's channel, and I saw him play a mirror matchup in the finals. I wasn't really looking particularly like his deck. I just wanted to look more at like how the mirror matchup was played. So like I wanted to get an idea of how like what the players were doing and like what worked. So I noticed that Kevin was like sky returning a lot, and that was like really really good. Like he would sky return, then come up with like a baby Yveltal and tank with it, and that was actually pretty good because he was like hitting a lot of damage, and then he would just like come up with Zoroark in one shot, or yeah, technically one shot. But well, the other guy was doing a lot of cool plays. Like he played Jirachi and like Zoroark break, which I didn't play by the way, and like all this other stuff. So I kind of got a bit of a feel. But at the same time, I didn't really play anything because none of my other roommates had an Yveltal list, so I couldn't play the mirror matchup even once. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sleep on it. Whatever happens, happens. Let's just go into it. Yeah.
But you seem to. But I believe you. I believe you beat Kevin Baxter because apparently you top 4. So how did that matchup work? How did?
Oh my God.
Walk us through it.
So game 1, it was pretty nuts. Game 1, he has me completely. Like he has the win. Like he's destroying me. Like I'm not saying I'm not gonna blame the fact that I almost lost off dead draws, but like he was drawing significantly better. I think he got 2 Galleys out turn 2.
He's drawing good.
He got 2 Galleys out turn 1. I didn't get a single Galleyed out in the whole series, I think. But like he got a Galleyed out. He got 2 Galleys out turn 2. Game 1, he went first. Like he was hitting everything. I was hitting decent amounts of stuff, but it wasn't good. It wasn't like anything good compared to what he was hitting. So like he has me completely, right? Like the guy's just like completely destroying me. Like I think I'm losing pretty hard. I think I have like 4 or 5 prizes left to his like 2 or 3. And then I realized something, that he didn't have a lot of cards in deck. So I was kind of thinking to myself like, oh, okay, and like I guess I can like probably deck him out. I guess that's my only hope. And the game had been going on for a while. Like I think the game, like it was already like maybe 45 minutes into game 1. So like the game, like we were both playing really slow, especially me because I didn't really know what to do. So I was kind of like thinking out everything really hard, even though I was getting completely destroyed. But yeah, like the guy's just completely wrecking me, right? And there's about maybe 45 minutes into game 1 already, and like I basically look at his deck, and I think he has like 6 cards or something. So I know he has 1 VS Seeker left in his deck, and he has no Lysanders left because I basically made him burn. I basically started doing a strategy where like I would retreat into things that I knew he wanted to kill. So I would make him Lysander like early and make him waste his resources to the point where he only had 1. Are you still there, by the way?
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Apparently there's an internet connection, so it's trying to get us back together.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's good now though. But so basically what happened was that I make him burn his resources. It's all like he's using his Lysanders, he's using all his supporters. He's like he's sweeping me with a Gallade, and he ends up using that one last VS Seeker to Lysander a threat. I think it was a Zoroark or something. Like he was scared that I was gonna one shot his Yveltal or something.
Yeah.
So at this point he has no shuffle supporters left. Or no, that's not what happened. I'm sorry, my bad. He has 1 VS Seeker left, but he's about to deck out, right? So he ends up using it for a judge. So he doesn't deck out. So then he draws like maybe 5. He draws the 4 cards off it, and I think he has 4 cards in deck. But it was really ironic because like I hadn't used a single VS Seeker that game, or an AZ or my AZ. So basically, I knew he was out of Lysanders, and I knew he had his target whistle already played down. So like he had already used his target whistle, and he didn't play Puzzle of Time. So I basically was like, you know what? I think I can win this. So I basically just like sky returned every turn, and brought up the Yveltal EX, and every turn he hit it for like 130, 150, whatever, and I just literally AZ'd 5 turns in a row until he decked out. It was pretty sad. Not gonna lie, it was pretty douche on my part. Like he totally deserved it too. Like he was destroying me completely. He had one prize left too. Like it was funny. Like it was down to the point where he had one prize left. He had no way of taking that last prize. I basically just promoted Yveltal EX I had a Zoroark on my bench, maybe an Yveltal and I think a Shaman or something. And every turn I would just promote Yveltal and AZ, bring up the Zoroark, retreat back into Yveltal pass, retreat back into Yveltal pass, AZ until he just decked out. And when he drew his last card, he kind of just looked at me like he's like, "Oh, okay, good job, man." And then game 2 started.
So he didn't realize that he was you were trying on decking him out.
He did realize, but I don't think he realized it early enough. So I think if he realized later, he wouldn't have burnt his resources as much. Because like I planned it out from about maybe 4 turns before he judged. He used his last VS secret. At that point, I was already playing to like discard his resources.
Yeah.
So like at that point, that was my only strategy because I figured, hey, like game one's already like almost 50 minutes. Like we're gonna have like maybe 25 minutes for game 2, especially if I lose. I'm gonna have to win game 2 in like 20 minutes, which like the mirror matchup's really slow. And I'm gonna have to like win game 3 off Sun Death or something like that. If I win game 2, right?
Yeah.
So I end up winning game 1 off the deck out, and I'm feeling pretty confident going into game 2. I know there's like 25 minutes left or so.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna like, I'm not gonna slow play or anything, but I'm just gonna take my time. Like he's probably gonna take his time too. Like he's a very careful player, so like he takes his time really well. Like he makes good plays.
Yeah.
Game 2 was pretty much a different story. He had to discard a lot of his DCs early on. Like he didn't really like, he had to discard quite a few resources while I was able to set up pretty decent. And I think late game, my only win condition, time is called, and my only win condition at that point was to just knock out his Shaman. So I made a few calculations in his deck, and I figured that I think he only played 6 Dark Energies, and he was out of DCs, and he had no Floatstones left because I Zoroarked all of them. So I think I just Lysetted up a Shaman, and I hit it for like 100 with a Fighting Fury Bell. He had a Fighting Fury Bell on it, so I couldn't knock it out. And at that point, I was just hoping that he didn't retreat, because if he retreated, he would have won the game, and I would have lost to prizes. But he couldn't retreat, right? So I basically like just Zoroarked my DC, so I wouldn't be able to attack next turn, and because I had a Muscle Band on it, so I couldn't even retreat the Zoroark, right? So I couldn't even retreat the Zoroark, and then at that point he just like passed, and then I think I deck out like I think at that point he was just going for the prize thing. Like at that point he was just hoping that I draw pass, and that would be the end of game 2, and then we would go to game 3 for time for sudden death. But my hand was like perfect. I had like my last VS Seeker, so my hand was like Zoroark, Floatstone, Energy, Muscle Band, Acrobike for the energy. So like my hand was like literally the most perfect thing in the world. So I was like, okay, VS Seeker, Zoroark, Floatstone, Acrobike, Energy, Muscle Band, Retreat, Knockout game with Yveltal EX. And it was like the perfect set of cards ever. Like I literally had 0 cards in deck, 0 cards in hand after everything. I had 0 cards at all. I had 0 cards completely.
Oh my god.
Kind of just looked at me like, oh wow. Okay. Good games, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I interviewed Kevin Baxter earlier a couple days ago, and he didn't tell me this story. He just told me he lost. I can understand. I would be a little salty too about how I lost these games.
Yeah.
Like, but if nothing else, that definitely is entertaining. I just kind of feel bad for him.
He definitely deserved game 1 though. Like he was destroying me. I just took advantage of a situation that just happened to work out in my favor. But I give him full credit. Like he knew what he was doing. He definitely knows the mirror matchup more than I do, or more than I did, and still do probably. But yeah, so that was top 8, and then top 4 was pretty much I got wrecked.
You got wrecked?
Yeah, kinda. I mean, game one, I didn't really. It was against Night March, by the way. So I'm playing against Matt Debley. So he's a player from I think he's from he's near the border. I think he's from Windsor. So he's playing Night March. Game 1, I'm kind of it's kind of 50-50, but I make a few plays because I don't really know if he's playing Target Whistle or not. So after seeing him like go through his deck like a lot, I didn't really know any of the standard Night March lists either, since like I hadn't really played. So like I kind of just assumed mid game that he didn't play Target Whistle, which is like a huge mistake.
Yeah.
So I ended up discarding like a Yveltal EX, and I think late game he's able to Target Whistle the Yveltal and then Lysander for game. And that's when that was a cheap. No, he took the win off that, and I didn't really see that coming. I was like, oh okay, he plays Target Whistle, because he played all these other weird things. Like he was playing Puzzle, Acrobike, Males, four Puzzle. He was playing Fighting Fury Belts, Megaphone, Zoroark. Like he was playing a lot of things. So I was like, okay, he probably doesn't play Target Whistle. He probably doesn't play Target Whistle just because of the fact he plays all these other things.
Yeah.
But he did have a Target Whistle, and that's how he won game one.
Mm-hmm.
Game two, he kind of dead drew. I think it was like 3 turns. I was already 3 prizes ahead before he'd even taken a single prize. So I think he just scooped after like I think 2 turns later, and then we're going into game 3. And game 3, it's pretty much back and forth. We're going at each other, and there's one point where he has 1 prize left. He has this active whatever Night Marcher he's attacking with, like sweeping my field. And he has a Shaman with a float stone on the bench. All his puzzle times are gone. He has no escape rope. It's his last float stone on his Shaman EX. He has no other Night March bench. So my play was to Zoroark the float stone on the bench. And so at that point he wouldn't be able to attack me next turn and knock me out for the game. Yeah. He would have to Sky Return. And if he Sky Returned into another Shaman, I would just Gallade it for game. But if he Sky Returned into the Night Marcher that he benched, then he would have no Night Marchers left and no way of getting back a Night Marcher. So then that would guarantee me the win. But I don't see that play, and I end up messing up. And I know, I messed up. I kind of did see it, but at the same time, I played it really risky because I had 5 cards in deck, and I should have Ultra Balled for Shaman and drawn 3 out of the 5. And what happened was that I ended up just Acrobiking for 2, and like hoping I drew the VS Seeker for the Zoroark off the 2 out of the 5, and I didn't hit it. So because I didn't hit it, if I went for the Shaman at that point, I would have decked out and I would have lost. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I just have to hope he doesn't draw the DC next turn for the win, because I know he's gonna draw. I know he's just gonna bench the Night March and retreat, and then just go for the DC. And I mean, like he had everything. He had like the teammates. He had the Seeker. So I mean, if I did hit the VS Seeker, I'm pretty confident I would have won that game, just because of the fact that he wouldn't have been able to knock me out, and I would have just killed his Night Marcher that he after he Sky returned. And then we would have been at 1-1 prizes, and then he would have just had just Shamans, and I would have just like Galaded one of them for the win. So that's how the game went. So that was my top 4.
Well, that sounds a little unfortunate how it ended, but hey, you did do well, especially with in top 8. I liked how you said you studied your opponent, studied how the mirror match was played, and studied how that went, even though you didn't play for several months. And I have to say that is definitely a good trait. That definitely is a trait of a good player like yourself. So it's always nice to see stuff like that. So you said you skipped week 2. In week 3, that was...
I had school assignments. week 2, so...
Yes.
Besides, I didn't really want to go to New York just because of the fact that, like, I like the drives, but, like, if they're too long, then they get kind of, I don't know, like 6 hours and a half driving. Like, it's not that bad, I just don't prefer it. Yeah. Well, Michigan was only, like, 4.5, so I didn't mind that as much.
Yeah, so, alright, going into week 3, what was the difference between week 1 list and the week 3 list?
So week 3, I've realized that Vespiquen was becoming more popular, and I wanted a better matchup versus Night March, and like just against like Entei and like everything else that was like all the random stuff.
Yeah.
So I ended up just cutting a 4th Acrobike, which I felt like I never needed the 4th Acrobike. So I ended up just cutting the Acrobike for a Toad, and I ended up cutting Yveltal EX for a Drudagon.
Okay.
So those are the only 2 changes I made going into week 3. So the list was a little bit different. The Toad and the Drudagon were really good. They caught a lot of people off guard, especially the Toad. When I dropped the Toad a lot against people, they were like, whoa, what?
Yeah, I can guess as much, so...
I just really, really wanted the Giovanni scheme, and I would try to find room for the card, but I just could not fit it in. And like, I didn't know what to cut for it, so I just decided, hey, you know what? It works. It worked for me without it, week 1. So I guess week 2, I mean, I guess week 3, I might be able to do it again without it, but like, I really wished I had it week 1 and week 3. It's such a good card.
Yeah. I mean, I think your mindset probably was, since like, you know, you did make top 4 in Michigan with this list for the most part. You probably were on along lines of the thinking, well, if it's not broken, don't fix it, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So walk us through week 3, which was Quebec,
Ontario.
Ontario.
So Ontario is my home provincials. I live about maybe 25 to half an hour away from the venue. So
Oh, that was probably very
yeah,
awesome, great for
it was
you.
really nice.
Yeah, I bet.
So yeah, so like I basically just show up, same list. Everyone probably knows what I'm playing at that point. I'm like, whatever. I get into line register.
Yeah.
I'm actually facing my really close friend Andre Chasson round 1. He's playing
Tyrantrum.
yeah,
Giratina?
metal Tyrantrum Giratina, Slash. It's not really a good matchup for him.
No.
And he even told me right before the tournament that it wouldn't go that well if I faced him, and he was right. Like I was able to take both games pretty easily, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, Yveltal has always bodied Giratina decks pretty hard.
I mean, I think I hexed him. I think one game like 3 turns in a row, and he just couldn't do anything. Like I think I just had Galley, and I just hexed every turn and just hit for like 130, and it was pretty bad. So that was my round 1 against Andre. Like kudos to him. He's a really awesome guy. Like he gives me rides everywhere. He drove me to Michigan. He drove me to Quebec. He drives me all over the place. So he's an awesome guy. He's a good friend too. So shout out to him.
Yeah, you gotta love your carpool friends, your carpool buddies.
He's an awesome guy. Don't worry. Like round 2, I'm facing against Johnny Tang, a guy from Toronto, I think. Yeah, and it's another mirror matchup, and again, I don't really know what to do. So one big mistake that I had was he got 2 Gallades out. He got 2 Gallades out game 1 against me like pretty fast, like Kevin did in top 8 of Michigan. So I didn't have much of a game. He wasn't gonna deck out either because like he was managing his resources really well. He played 4 puzzle at a time. He didn't play shamans. He played like a really renegade list. He played like maybe 4. I think he played 4 unknown, 4 acrobike, 4 puzzle, 4 mail, 4 compressor, like no shaman.
Ooh.
So it was a little interesting, and it was really interesting actually. And like he didn't give me any chance to ever knock out an EX. His only EX was just 1 Yveltal EX, and he played a town map. So it was really interesting because he would just like grab things from his prizes, and like he would always have like unknowns and cards to draw, like without shaman. So that was really cool to see. I got wrecked game 1. Game 1 took about maybe 35 minutes. I should have scooped game 1 though. Like that was my mistake. And then game 2 we're starting. I think I have a good lead game 2. Like I actually have the lead going on because I was able to get Gallied out and he wasn't. And time's called, and at that point I just extend my hand out. I'm like, good game, man, because like I can't finish game 2.
No, I don't know how to feel.
So at this point I'm 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not terrible starting. So like having a loss in turn in round 2, but it's not the best either. You usually want to save your loss until like later in the rounds.
Yeah, exactly.
So what did you face round 3?
Round 3 is not going to be round 3 much. Nothing much really happened. It was against Dinesh, a former player from like Scarborough area. But let's just say that the Toad pretty much swept this field. It was Garchomp.
Oh.
So it was pretty bad for him, I'm not gonna lie. I started Toad, I think, game 2, and in game 1 I was able to get turn 1 Quaking Punch both games.
Oh.
And he didn't have anything against it because his deck is very item reliant with rare candies, level balls, ultra balls. So I think my game plan against that was just to AZ Toad literally every turn he hit a Halucha. So I was literally just Quaking Punched him, and then he would hit me, and then I would just AZ, bring it up again with another DC, and just hit him again, and then knock him out. Because he wasn't able to stream Halucha energy every turn. I think he was able to stream maybe 1 game maximum, 2 Haluchas in a row, but they weren't enough, and the Toad still stayed alive. So I think the Toad took like 4 prizes both games.
Oof.
And I finished up both games with just like a big Yveltal, and that was it.
Yeah.
So the Toad pretty much did work there. So that was there were 2 pretty fast games. He tried really hard, not gonna lie. He got an Octillery out. He was able to draw cards, but then it just wasn't enough.
Oh, he's playing Octillery.
Yeah, he's playing Octillery Garchomp.
Yeah. I've seen like with those Garchomp decks, I've seen like 3 variants of it. Actually, up to this point, with you saying he's playing Octillery, only I heard of the straight variant, and I've heard of also the Garbodor variant that's been going around a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So you're 2-1 going to round 4, what did you play there?
Round 4, I'm playing against Veswick and Vileplume again. So I'm facing a guy from the States. His name's Fred. I don't know his last name, unfortunately, but he's a really nice guy. I like him. He made a huge misplay game 1, though. It was pretty bad. No offense on his part or anything, like, not calling him out, but, like, I mean, like, everyone forgets. Like, I think I would have forgotten, too, honestly, if I was him. But basically what he tried to do was he tried to... so basically I knocked out his active Veswick with a Fright Knight.
Yeah.
And he promoted his Vileplume with a Floatstone. Thinking he could retreat. And then he tried retreating, and I was like, "Yo, Fright Knight," and he was like, "Oh, okay, I scoop." And then he kind of just looked at me like, "Oh, shoot," and he was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I can't do anything against this," and he kind of just scooped because he was gonna run out of DCs. So I mean, it happens to everyone. I mean, that stuff happens to everyone, but I felt really bad because, like, obviously, like, I didn't want the game to end like that with the Fright Knight, just like him thinking he could retreat.
Yeah,
game two was pretty much my favor. He got item lockout, but I was able to get Druidagon and... Sorry, were you saying something?
No, I was just listening to you. Are you good now? Because is the internet connection good now?
Yeah.
Okay. You were saying something about, like, the Druidagon.
Oh yeah, so like game 2, basically he got item lockout, but I was able to get, like, the Zoroark lines and the Druidagon out against him, so I was able to trade with the Vespuquins really well. And game 2 ended exactly the way game 1 ended. He was able to pull a couple tricks off me because he played Lysander in AZ, and my friends were telling me that Vespuquin didn't play those cards, so I didn't really know any better. So I tried Lysandering up the Vileplume with a Fright Knight active, and he just Lysandered around it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess that works. I guess that's cool. And oh no, I didn't Lysander. He brought it up, and I thought I won at that point. So I promoted my Fright Knight, and I was like, okay, I think I win the game now. And he Lysander, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. So he had already discarded his AZ earlier, so he retreated into Bunnelby and, like, tried getting back a couple DCs because he was right. He had none left. He just had the one left, and at that point, I knew that he had already used his Lysander and his AZ. So then I just Lysander the Vileplume again. And then at that point, I think he just scooped because he knew that he couldn't retreat the Vileplume. So Fright Knight. So shout out to Fright Knight. Yveltal won both games back to back.
Yeah, Fright Knight is so good in this one.
So
it really
Fright Knight
is.
Yveltal basically just stuck his Vileplume up both games, and because of that, he kind of just scooped game 2 as well because he knew that he wouldn't be able to win by retreating.
Yeah, that bird just likes to laugh at, like, the faces of the Keldeos and Vileplumes with floatstones. Just goes, ha!
Yeah. So this point, I'm 3-1-1. So.
So you're 3-1-1? I thought you were 4-1.
I'm 3-1-1 at this point.
Okay.
So round 5, I'm placing against my same guy I placed in Michigan, actually. Main Ahmed again. So Main's playing the exact same thing, except he cut the bats for a Garbiter line. So it was pretty much the exact same thing. I mean, the bats didn't really do much for me against me because, like, he's pretty much one-shotting me anyways. And we're trading 1-for-1, right? I 2-0 him this time, though, and I think it was just the Druidagon. The Druidagon was super good. I didn't have it in Michigan, but this time it was just amazing. I think game 1 I came out with Druidagon. I one-shotted his Vespuquin. And he one-shotted me back, and I was able to super rod the Druidagon back and Ultra Ball for it the same turn, and then do it again, and like 2 turns back to back. And, like, the Druidagon just took 2 prizes back to back, just like that, and he was kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. And game 2, the Druidagon was really good again. The Zorks, the Gallades. I think I was able to get 2 Gallades out that game, and it was just going really, really well for me. And he wasn't able to do much, unfortunately. So at this point, I'm 4-1-1, and going in round 6, I'm facing against Trevenant.
You're in the win and in position, correct? Because this is a 7-round tournament.
Yeah, I have to win this round. I have to ID my last. So so I'm facing against Trevenant. I've never played against Trevenant in my life. I heard it's a good deck, but I knew I had the advantage because of the dark weakness.
Yeah.
But he actually destroyed me game 1. Like, he destroyed me really bad. And from what I heard, he had beat 2 Yveltals prior to me, and he was 2-0 against Yveltal. He beat the guy I actually lost to round 2, and he beat some other Yveltal player. But so I was a little bit worried, especially after he beat me game 1. Like, I was a little bit upset. I was like, oh wow, I'm about to lose to Trevenant. It's supposed to be an easy matchup. What's everyone gonna say? But but game two, I think I was going first, so I was able to get Gallied out, and I was able to get Fright Night out turn two. So Fright Night was pretty good. Fright Night swept this field. There was a really good play actually I made where he brought up his Trevenant break and he thought he was safe, and I was able to Hex Maniac, and I was able to attach a Muscle Band to the Fright Night and one shot him for 160 with Pitch Black Spear.
Yeah.
And he did not see that one coming at all, and he didn't even attach the Bursting Balloon because he figured there was no point because I had the Fright Night active.
Yeah.
So so because of that, I was able to one shot the break for no damage since I turned off my ability. So
dirty
because he didn't attach a Fighting Fury belt. So game two I got him pretty well, and then game three he literally started. It was the worst game ever for him. I think he started Shaman and like 6 useless trainers that he couldn't use.
Oh.
And I ended up just donking a Shaman. So that was the way to end game three.
So
he started Lone Shaman and nothing else, and I just donked it, and that was the end of the game.
So this tournament it's kind of ended the same way it did with in Michigan, where you just kind of take you take an early tie and you just win out, and then now you lost earlier, so now you're also in a win in a position, correct? Or
yeah. So at this point, I'm 5-1, going in around 7. So last round I'm facing against Dijon, a guy from Kingston, I think, and he's also playing Trevenant, but he's also 5-1. So I mean, obviously, like, why we did the math, we realized that all 5-1-1s would make cut. So at that point, we just ID'd. So I'm 5-1-1, he's 5-1-1. We're both going into cut. So that was the end of day one. So I finished 5-1-1.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So,
at this point, I was pretty stoked going into top eight because it was my second states, and I was 2 for 2 for cuts, so I was pretty excited going in.
Yeah.
It was pretty nice. Well, I got 70 points off the first week, so
yeah.
I think I was at 112. So I didn't really have a lot of expectations still. I was like, wow, come on, like I gotta win this one. I gotta win Quebec. Like, come on, like for real. What's gonna happen here?
Yeah.
But top 8, I ended up facing against a really good player from Toronto, Alan Zhu. He's playing Trevenant.
Again.
Yeah, Trevenant again. So it's my third Trevenant in a row. But like I ID'd Trevenant round 7 for a cut. So I'm facing against Trevenant. There's one Greninja in top 8. So I was I never played against Greninja, and I didn't even know what it did, to be honest.
Wow.
So I just heard that it was almost auto loss for me. So at that point, I was kind of like, you know what, I'm just gonna like really hope I don't face it. So Jacob Lesage is playing Greninja, and he ends up facing a Trevenant in top 8, and he ends up losing in top 8 to that. So at that point, I knew Greninja was out, so I figured I was pretty safe. Honestly, there's not much to say against my matchup against Trevenant in top 8. I won game 1. I was going first. I won game 1 pretty well. I got Friday Night out. Game 2, he donked me. Game 2, I started Lone Shaman and like 6 trainers, and he got turn 1 lock going first. So I think he just donked my Shaman. That was the end of the game. And game 3, I'm going first. Friday Night out again, turn 2, and yeah, that was basically it.
Yeah.
It wasn't really, the games were pretty bland. I'm not gonna lie. There's not really much to go into detail about. But yeah, that's the way it went.
Fair enough. So what did you play against in top 4?
Top 4, I'm playing against Vespic and Vileplume again.
Again.
Yeah, so I've been placing a lot of. If you notice, I've been playing against a lot of Vespiquins and a lot of Trevenants. So,
you might as well just go. Well, I don't even need these items anymore.
So basically against Vespic and Vileplume, game 1, I was going first. I got turn 1 Gallade with like 3 tools on the field. I got a Zoria with a Floatstone. I got an Yveltal with a Fighting Fury Belt. I got an Yveltal with a Muscle Band. The Gallade, the Drudagon on the field. Like I have everything turn 1.
That's nice.
So I think I just set up really, really well turn 1 to the point where I'm able to overrun him late game, and I think I just eventually end up running him out of resources and out of Pokemon. He didn't play Bunnelby, so he was just working with 4 DCs. That was it. No time puzzle, no nothing. So once the 4 DCs were gone, they were gone. That was it.
Yeah, that's how a lot of those decks work for the most part.
Yeah, like he had no recovery at all. Like he had just 4 DCs and that was it. So I think I just traded with 4 Vespiquins and that was basically the end of the game. He didn't have much going for him there. Game two is really short. Game two was actually long, so longer than it probably should have.
Yeah.
But game two is going first. You know, he's going through his entire deck. He's getting absolutely everything out. He has the Sycamore Way 2 DCs turn one. He's attaches his DC to his Vespiquen. He gets turn one Vileplume. I think he has like 25 Pokemon to discard turn one or something like that. Like the guy's just running hot. I think he has like 12 cards left in deck. At that point, he's like, I start Lone Zoria, nothing else. And he gets item lock out, and he's like, okay, I think I got this. But unfortunately, he whiffs the Floatstone on the Vileplume, and he didn't play Lysander or AZ. So he drops the Vileplume down, and we're making a joke between ourselves. I'm like, yo, you know if I have Lysander, right? He's like, yeah, I know. I gotta go for the risk though. He's like, you probably have nothing in your hand. I'm like, yeah, I honestly do. And he thinks he's safe, right? So he just promotes the Vespiquen out, turn one, DC on it. He's like, all right, I think I can donk you. I'm like, honestly, dude, I think you got this. And I literally just draw the top card of my deck, and it's a Lysander, and I'm like, okay, Lysander for game. So his turn one takes like maybe 15 minutes. Like he's just setting up everything. He's just like, he looks like he's about to dominate me completely. And I literally just rip a Lysander from the top of my deck, and I'm like, all right, Lysander for game, done.
Oh,
that was the series.
That's kind of anticlimactic, but I'm pretty sure you guys were laughing a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, me and Jason are close. It's Jason Lomagan actually. He was the guy I faced in Michigan playing Night March. So yeah, we're close. Like we're just making jokes the whole game. We're just trolling and everything. So we're like joking around the Lysander. We're like, yo, you know if I have it, right? He's like, yeah, I know.
That was great. Apparently, you really did have it.
Yeah.
So
finals, I'm actually playing against Trevenant.
Oof.
So I'm Jordan Burloak. He's the guy I actually faced. I beat in round 5.
Yeah.
The guy that I donked his Lone Shaman.
Yeah.
And this time I was able to 2-0 it. I think I'm going first game 1. So game 1, I think I could just I get turn 2 Friday Night again, and the Friday Night's just really good. The Friday Night basically swept his field. He wasn't able to do much. Game 2 for some stupid reason, I'm about to put down my Parallel City to get rid of my Shaman because he doesn't have I don't have as good as a setup as I do game 1, and he's silent healing everything, right? So at this point, I think there's 90 damage on everything, and I've taken only 1 prize. And what happens is that I drop down a Parallel City trying to get rid of my Shaman, but what happens is that for some reason I end up putting it the wrong way.
Oh no!
So I end up putting it the wrong way.
So
I'm like, oh wow! So I can't get rid of my Shaman, right? And I'm under item lock. So basically, the Shaman's just sitting there with 90 damage, and my Fright Knight's active with 120 damage on it. So at this point, I hit his Trevenant for 120. It was a break, and I think he's able to silent hill that turn for 3 prizes. So 2 off the Shaman, and 1 off the act, and the Fright Knight's done. So the Fright Knight and the Shaman are done. So he's 3 prizes ahead of me, right? And I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I just misplayed that hard. So I bring up the Yveltal, just a baby one, and I just Oblivion Wing. I knock out the break, and I bring it onto an Yveltal EX. Long story short, we basically just trade. I'm able to eventually just slowly start setting up a Darkness Blade.
Yeah.
And the game comes down really close. We're down to 1-1 prizes. He has to Lysander my Yveltal on the bench that has 90 damage on it from the silent healing that he was doing in the beginning of the game, and he's not able to hit it because I think at that point he was already depleted of resources. He only had maybe 1 VS Secret deck, 1 Shaman. He had no energies on the field. His only hope was the Wobbuffet. So he had to hit Floatstone, Ultra Ball, Wobbuffet, Lysander, and Dimension Valley, all off maybe 4 cards, or sorry, 5 cards.
Yeah.
So what the odds of him hitting that in that 20 card deck is just really low. So he didn't hit it. So at that point, I was just able to Darkness Blade for the game, and yeah, that was how I won Ontario.
Wow. But I want to talk about something real quick and just point something out. With Trevenant's attack, you keep calling the rig attack Silent Hill. When it's the name's Silent when the actual name is Silent Fear.
Oh, Silent Fear? Okay, I'm probably just thinking about the movie or something then.
Yeah, I was just wanted to point that out, man.
Honestly, man, I don't even know the cards names anymore.
That's fine.
I don't think I ever actually said Fright Knight's attack, like Yveltal Fright Knight's like attack properly.
Yeah.
And then, like in like every tournament I ever played with it.
Yeah.
I think every time I attacked with it, I just said Fright Night. Like I actually like legitimately thought the attack was called Fright Night. So like whenever I attacked with it, I was like Fright Night, and then it would be like okay, and I would just like take prizes and knock things out.
Yeah, they knew what you were talking about. Like, they has one attack at it. Like, it's not like
Yeah. I mean, like Fright Night's the ability, right? But like I kind of just whenever I attack with it, I kind of just like go say Fright Night just because I think it sounds cooler.
Yeah.
Than Pitch Black Spear.
It does like, sound kind of cooler, honestly.
Yeah.
But I actually do kind of like the little nickname you gave Tournament Break's attack name, Silent Hill. I'm gonna use
I
that.
thought it was Silent Hill.
I'm gonna use that now.
Hey man, I legit thought it was Silent Hill. So.
But anyway, going into this next tournament, how do you feel on? Well, actually, I want to talk about the changes you made from week 3 to week 4. You took out the Shaman for a Giovanni
scheme. So I was really craving the Giovanni scheme. Like at that point, I was like, I really need this card. It's just so good. Like I really wished I had it in so many situations of the tournament. So basically, what I noticed was that I found that I was losing games in like testing or like in like the only games I ever played against just to the fact that like my shamans would get Lysandered. And I found that a lot of the times that I didn't even use 2 shamans. And I found that if I actually benched 2 shamans, I would just end up losing anyways.
Yeah.
So like my logic was that if I'm going to bench 2 shamans, I'm probably losing anyways. Just as the fact that they're going to get Lysander, I'm going to lose. Or if I don't like bench 2 shamans, then why am I playing 2 shamans if I'm just going to lose the game because I'm going to play 2 shamans? And I never found myself ever needing 2 shamans ever. Like I think 1 shaman was more than enough ever. So I was like, you know what? I think 1 shaman's going to be good enough, especially after I played against the Yveltal with 0 shaman, and I saw how it functioned with just unknowns and like acrobikes. I figured that I could get by with just acrobikes, considering how he was able to do just fine without shamans. So I was like, okay, you know what? I guess 1 shaman would be okay, like good enough to compensate for the unknowns, because like I'm drawing still more cards than the unknowns, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna play I'm gonna play the 1 shaman. I think it'll be good. My friends didn't really support me on that decision. They were kind of like, I don't know, Andrew. I don't know how I feel about that. And I was like, guys, I play the deck. I played the deck for two provincials now. I probably don't know what I'm doing right now, but like I think it's gonna work. Like I'm pretty confident the 1 shaman's gonna be okay. And they're like, you know what? It's super risky, but go for it, man. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah. I would honestly probably your friends would probably be saying the same thing though. Like, yeah, 1 shaman's kind of risky. But,
yeah. And honestly, it was the best decision I've ever made.
Wow.
It was honestly amazing. I never ever needed that 2nd shaman ever.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, if I ever dropped the 2nd shaman, I probably would have lost a few of my games.
Wow. So going into the final week of states, I'm guessing how is your mindset at this point? You have like 212 championship points.
I'm at 212 out of 300. I'm thinking to myself like, holy crap! I've literally netted 170 points in the last 3 weeks out of 2 provincials or 2 states.
You're like,
and I'm just like, you know what?
If you get to the finals, you win. You're in.
And I had no intentions of going to Quebec. I talked to my friends like about 2 months prior. I'm like, you know what? If I go to Michigan and I do well, and if I do well at Ontario, then I'll go to Quebec, because why not? So I was like, you know what? I'm not 212. Like I might as well go. Like I'll give it a shot. Like I might as well go for the invite since I'm getting pretty close now.
Yeah, right. Because like going into like the first week of state, you probably had like no real. Like, it's like, oh, yeah, why don't you do well at 3 states / provincials I'm in? But, like, you didn't realistically think that you would be able to do that. But here you are, finals, your final provincials, and you go, like, you think you actually have a chance. That's really cool, incredible.
Yeah.
But it's almost expected since you are a former world champion, so.
Thanks, man.
So, walk us through your final provincials run.
Okay, so it's another 7-round tournament.
Yep.
So like it's pretty weird because like the metagame there was so different from what anyone ever expected. Like honestly, I think the biggest deck there was honestly like Turbo Darkrai with like Yveltal and like Malamar.
Really?
Yeah, so it was really weird. Like the whole format was out to get Trevenant.
Huh.
So Trevenant was 100% not the play for that tournament. But yeah, like the whole world was out to get Trevenant at that tournament, so I was like, you know what, like this is insane.
Yeah, usually the whole world's out to get Night March, but
Yeah, but like honestly, they were all taking the bad matchup tonight. March. I don't even think they were playing babies. They were just playing like they would play like maybe one baby like Oblivion Wing and like two Fright Nights,
Yeah.
and the rest was just like Yveltal EX and Darkrai.
Wow.
Like yeah, like it was pretty weird. Like the meta was so different. I was kind of like looking at everyone's deck, going like, whoa, what is this? What does the card even do?
But those are the most exciting and, in my opinion, the most fun metas.
Yeah,
Like the ones you can't just go. Okay, you're either probably playing Night March or something that beats Night March.
yeah.
So that's always fun to see those kind of events. So, what did you face round one?
So round one, I'm actually ironically playing against Night March. I 2-0 it.
Yeah.
Or no, I actually don't. I 2-1 it. It's 2-1.
Okay.
I think he donks me game one. Yeah, game one he donks me pretty bad. Like I think I dead draw I just draw really bad. I actually start my Shaman and I have no Ultra Balls in hand or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And my one Shaman I start with it. I have literally nothing and he just benches me out. Game two I think it's the other way around. He dead draws and I'm able to take a win.
Mm-hmm.
And then game three we're both 1-1 and he makes the decision to go or no, he goes second, so he's able to take the first knockout. But because of my logic with the Shaman from why I cut it, and like why I figured like I would lose games because of Shaman, that's literally how I won games off Shamans, like off Shaman. So like he actually drops 2 Shamans because he has to.
Yeah.
The second Shaman, honestly, he didn't really have to drop the second Shaman. It wasn't necessary. He kind of just did it because he felt like why not.
Yeah, those are cool cards.
But like he wanted to draw a few cards, right? Like a couple puzzles, or I don't know what he was going for. He didn't really need anything at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was honestly doing just fine. But like 2 turns back to back, I'm able to Lysander 2 Shamans, and with like Gallade and Zoroark, and I'm taking like at that point I take like such a big lead. I don't drop a single EX. I don't discard. I make whenever I play against Night March, my goal is to never discard never like discard EXs because of target whistle.
Yep.
If I do have to discard EXs, I dig for the super rod like off the bat, like ASAP. Like I dig for it.
Yeah.
Like I do what I can to just draw it right away before my EX gets target whistled. So that's the play I did it mostly like against like 3 weeks against Night March. But I don't drop a single EX and I just take literally 4 cheap prices off Shamans, and at that point I just take such a big lead that no matter what he does, I'm able to pull through. Like from prize trade eventually.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, so this one Shaman is proving pretty nice. So what did you play against in round 2?
Oh wow, hold on. Oh yeah, round 2 was actually my only loss of the tournament. Round 2 I faced against Will Crawford. He was playing Yveltal Mirror.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah. So Will Crawford, he's playing Yveltal Mirror. Let's just say I got completely destroyed game 1.
Oof.
He's able to. I feel like every scenario where I lose the mirror matchup is literally just the same thing. I think he gets 2 Gallades out turn 2 or something, and I just have absolutely nothing. And I think he just eventually bodies me.
Yeah.
Game 1 though, I should have scooped again. Like another misplay, I should have scooped. I don't know why I didn't. I felt like I had a chance, which I don't know why I thought I had a chance, but I get wrecked game 1. Game 2 starting and there's only like 10 minutes left, so I don't have time to finish. So I basically just extend my hand. So at this point I'm 1-1.
Yeah.
So at this point I'm in the same spot as Ontario.
Yeah, I was about to say that's pretty interesting. Deja vu, much.
Yeah, like at this point I'm in the same spot. I'm just thinking to myself, wow, okay, whatever, let's do it.
Yeah. Just do it again. No problem. No pressure.
I'm trying to remember what I faced after. It was really weird. Who did I play against? Okay, I'm pretty sure next round I've played against Greninja, finally for the first time. And the guy's not playing any rare candies. So basically what happens is that I get destroyed game 1, I don't draw that well. He gets the turn 3 like 4 Greninjas out or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just get destroyed. Like I had no idea what the card really did. I kind of just read it for the first time that game. So after like a while, I kind of figure out how to beat it. So he played 2 Jirachi as well. So what I did was game 2, going first, I just attached 2 basic energies like between 2 turns to my Toad. And I come out with my Toad and I just with a band and I just Giovanni's the Frogadier.
Wow.
So I hit it for 70 and I Quaking Punch him. So he's not able to set up, and he actually had to discard 2 Frogadiers turn 1. and he was digging for his Sacred Ashes because he played 2. But I was able to Quaking Punch before he got his Sacred Ash out, so he was only working with 1 Greninja at that point, and zero ways of knocking out the Toad. So at this point, he's desperately trying to knock out my Toad with the 1 Greninja. But literally every turn, he didn't play Rough-Seas either. So literally every turn, I'm using Giovanni's and then Giovanni's and then Giovanni's, and eventually I knock out his last Greninja. He has no Ashes, he has no Frigadiers, nothing. And his only 2 attackers at that point are literally just Octillery and Jirachi's, and I think he just scoops because he knows it's not going to do much.
Wow, that was actually pretty clever of you. Instead of just attaching DC off like that, attaching 2 Darkness Energy each turn, which is pretty clever because that's what they rely on.
Because they rely a lot of die balls and stuff, right?
Yeah, a lot of die balls. Some play Ultra Ball, some play Evo Soda, some play Level Ball. So it's just kind of they all play die ball.
So game 3, basically going in, basically same thing. I get Quaking Punch turn 1.
Yeah.
However, I do have to attach a DC, but I'm a little worried about the Jirachi. But like he doesn't bench 1 down turn 1, and he doesn't seem to have one at the beginning, so I think I'm safe.
Yeah.
I end up getting out 2 Gallades out by turn 2.
Nice.
While he's setting up. At that point, I think that was my only chance to win. So basically what happens is that we just start trading back and forth, honestly. Like whenever I basically just promote I end up attaching 2 Dark Energies to one of my Gallades in case of a Jirachi. So I think at that point I just start promoting my Gallades.
Yeah.
Whenever he attacks me with a Greninja, I basically just hex him. If it's a regular Greninja, I hex him, so I knock it out for 130. If he drops down a break, I basically just Giovanni scheme him in Muscle Band, so I one-shot the break. And at that point, I just start trading with the 2 Gallades and with my Zorks. So at that point, it's like we're trading 1/1 Gallade for Greninja, Gallade for Greninja, Zoroark for Greninja, and I think at that point, I eventually just end up knocking out all his Greninjas. And that was basically it.
So you're 2-1 going into game 4.
Yeah.
And you just beat a deck that you previously did not know too much about how to play against.
Yeah, the Toad definitely came clutch though, because I was able to deny setup games 2 and 3, and then game 3 he didn't really have. He actually set up pretty late since he didn't play rare candies, so that was a big contribution to how I won that game because he was playing he didn't play like any rare candies or anything, and he played a lot of like item reliant cards, so I was able to shut him down real quick with Toad.
Like with from what I've seen, like each Greninja list is like at least 5 cards off. So like each one is like fairly different from one another. Some play rare candy, some don't play. Some play Ultra Ball, Level Ball, Evo Soda. Some play none of those. It's really interesting seeing each and every single deck. But you seem to run into the one that wasn't playing rare candies, which initially would be kind of good in their favor. But you seem to know how to play, like not know how to play matchup, but you just seem to know what to do, and you kind of won that matchup from there.
Yeah.
So what did you play against in round 4?
I'm trying to remember. It's kind of a little bit of a blur.
If you don't remember,
oh yeah, I played against my buddy Adrian Sato. I can't really say I kind of deserve this, but like for fun, I'm here for the packs. I just wanted to go to the casino.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know what? Honestly, Andrew, like, I don't really want to play it out, especially Yveltal Mirror. So like, just take the win. So he just gave me the win.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he ended up giving me the win. He's not playing for points. He doesn't really care. And he's a good friend of mine too. So like, he basically just gave it.
Wow, that's really nice of him.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm 3-1.
Nice. You're 3-1. Oh, so game 5. How did you? What did you play there?
I'm actually playing against Alan Zoo right now.
Again.
Again, yeah.
Is this like the third states or provincials you played him at?
No, this is the second one.
Oh, you still played him a lot.
I played main at all 3, but I haven't gone to main yet. I'm getting to him later. But basically I'm playing against Alan, but this deck is crazy. It's like Vileplume, Yveltal EX, Jolteon EX, and Jirachi, and like it's basically Vileplume toolbox.
Ooh, that sounds crazy.
Yeah, so like he has like a bunch of stuff going on. He's playing like Rainbow Energies and a bunch of attackers. So at this point, I really don't want to play against this, right? So I'm like, okay, you know what? I really don't want to play against you. And he's like, yeah, no, I don't want to play against you either because I'm kind of scared that you're gonna get Gallades out turn 1. And I was like, he's like, do you want to just ID? And I was like, so happy you wanted to ID. I was like, yes, of course I'll ID. So he wanted to ID, and I took the ID because I thought it was pretty unfavorable for me.
Yeah.
especially how he beat two Yveltals prior.
Ah,
So we ID'd. So at this point,
three.
I'm 3-1-1. Or sorry, I'm 3-1-1.
Yeah, that seems a tad bit risky though, because you're 3-1. You in like that basic.
Yeah,
You
I
have
know.
to play that. You have to play it till next two. So
Yeah.
I mean,
I honestly thought I would have lost that round if I played it out. So like, the idea was pretty good for me considering how I knew it was a bad matchup. So like, I might as well just rather like ID now, and then just have to win 2 games back to back, and then that would be my top 8. So, round 6, I'm playing against actually, the matchup against Alan was round 6. Earlier on, I forgot to mention. I think it was like the round. The round that I was forgetting. I think round 3.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever. The round I started at round 3 was round 4. So round 3, I
Oh,
actually ended up placing against Dakota Gillanders, a guy from Barrie, Ontario. He's a nice guy. He's a friend of mine. But it's Yveltal Mirror. But basically what happens is that Friday Night basically sweeps his field. He's not able to do much against it. I think I'm able to take 4 prizes in one turn with the Friday Night. Game 1. And game 2, he didn't have much either, and the galleys just swept. So that was basically round 3. So my round against Alan was actually so I basically ID'd against Alan
hmm.
right before the bubble, right? So it was basically 4-1-1 at this point. So round 7, I'm thinking to myself, who the heck? Like, I didn't really see any other 4-1-1s in the room,
Yeah.
but for some really random reason, I end up getting paired against when I get paired up against my opponent and he flips over his cards, I see he's playing like Dragonite Malamar. And I'm thinking to myself like, what is this, right? So I'm looking at his cards and I'm like, and it's Dragonite, like the Boston one, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking to myself like, what? So he's playing Dragonite and he's playing Malamar to like put me to sleep, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't know why he kept doing this, but basically what was happening was I was Oblivion Wing. I was like using Oblivion Wing every turn to
Yeah.
like get, and I got a Gallied out, but I basically had a Zork on my bench with a Float Stone, and every turn he was attaching an energy to Malamar, trying to put me to sleep, and he would always put me to sleep, and I think I literally flipped heads maybe 5 times in a row to wake up, but
Wow.
like it didn't matter because I had the Zork on the bench, right, with the Float Stone.
Yeah.
So like, and like every time it flipped heads, he got like legit mad at me. He got like legit mad. Like you could tell he was upset every time I flipped the heads, and I was like, dude, you don't have the Zork, right? He's like, oh yeah. And then he did it again, and then he got mad at when I flipped heads. I'm like, dude, like you have the Zork, and he's like, oh yeah. He's like,
Maybe he was just having a
mind
brain fart or
blanked.
something.
I don't know what happened, but he just kept on attaching to Malamar, really hoping he would put me to sleep. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I'm here. Sorry. Like
Yeah,
you're
like
just going a
yeah, like
little out.
I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. I heard you've just fine. Like you went up for like just a second, if that. But you're a little buzzy, but that's fine. We'll just continue as it is. But like,
Okay.
I actually did see that the Dragonite deck did do well, but it just kind of that is kind of weird that he kept attaching with it. Maybe he have like I don't know. Was science was I honestly have no idea like why he would do that. I was thinking maybe
Yeah,
season.
I don't know either. Like he didn't. What he was doing was he was just stacking energies on it,
Yeah.
and when he finally had like 4 or 5 energies on it, I literally just Lysandered it up with the galley and knocked it out. And at that point, he was like, "Oh, like I didn't understand it because he saw me get gallied out turn 1. He knew I had Zork, and he kept on trying to put me to sleep, and he would get like mad whenever I would flip heads, and I kept on reminding him for 5 turns in a row. I'm like, dude, I have the Zork, like. I even told him, I even gave it away. I'm like, dude, why do you keep attaching to Malamar? I'm like, why don't you attack me with your Dragonite? Like like literally after turn 3, and he didn't really speak that well English, so he was like, oh, okay. And he kept doing it. He kept attaching to Malamar, and I just kept like shaking my head, like, what's going on?
I don't think he. I think maybe he either was a newer player and maybe he did not understand what you were
Maybe,
saying.
maybe I don't know. But basically, what happened is that, long story short, and he benched 2 Malamars too, so I'm able to take 4 cheap prizes of Gallade in 2 turns against 2 Malamars, and then the Dragonite. I used Oblivion Wing on it earlier,
Yeah.
and it had 150.
Hmm.
So so basically what happens is that he didn't expect me to play Zoroark either. So basically what happens is that my last turn game 1, I basically just like Zoroark he attached a Fighting Fury Belt to it, so I basically just Zoroark the Fighting Fury Belt and attach a muscle band, and I'm able to hit it for 150 when I had 30 on it prior.
Yeah.
So that was 180, right? So that was like game one. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself like, okay, I guess like this is gonna be kind of weird. And he's playing Sceptile too. I know it's like Sceptile, Dragonite, Malamar.
Like it sounds like weird, but like he must be doing somewhat decent if like he's gotten this far into the tournament, right?
It's 4-1-1, right? And he's also playing Giratina EX.
Wow.
Giratina EX, and he's playing that trainer. I forget what it's called, but it basically what happens is that when you attach it to your Pokemon, if you want to flip, you can like redo it. I have no idea what it's called, but it's like Trick Coin or something.
Oh, Trick Coin.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's Trick Coin. So he's playing like 3 Trick Coins or something for Malamar, I guess. And like I think his Malamar was like his main attacker or something like that. Because he dropped 2 Malamars every game, or both games. And then game 2 was the exact same thing. I take 4 prizes off 2 Malamars back to back. And I literally just win the game by one-shotting his Giratina. Because he's not able to get a Chaos Wheel out. So I basically just like muscle band the Gallade.
Yeah.
And I pull off a Giovanni's, and he didn't see that coming.
Wow.
So that was basically it. And at that point, I'm 5-1-1, and I'm in cut.
Wow. But like, I just want to talk about this Dragonite deck just a little bit because there is a reason why my username and YouTube channel is called the Dragon Saver because I do like my dragons. And like I actually saw someone take 10th with a Dragonite bet list, so Dragon apparently is doing somewhat decent. But I'm just kind of wondering why this guy was this far in the tournament if he was making mistakes like that. I'm just very curious, and I don't know. I don't mean to sound like a jerk or anything, but like I don't know why he was like there if he was making that kind of mistakes. I don't know what he was thinking.
I mean, I was watching him earlier, and I think he was beating a lot of night marches. And he beat I think 2 night march. The round before he faced me, he beat an Entei.
Yeah.
And the round before that, I think he beat like a Turbo Darkrai because he had like Sceptile or something, or I don't know what it was. Like basically, he avoided Gallade, and I think he for sure he was a newer player because when I dropped the Gallade out turn one, he grabbed it and he like read it. So like he kind of looked at it like, oh, but I don't really think he got it because when I live centered up his I for the first time and I said one shot, he kind of looked at me like no, and then I'm like it's fighting, and then he's like, oh, okay. So I think he was just dodging. I think he just dodged Gallade the whole tournament, and he didn't really know what it did. So
that's probably it.
I honestly can't say much because I didn't really pay much attention to the deck. I was really focused on just like knocking out the Malamars and trying to get to top 8.
Yeah, because
I can't say I really focused too much attention on the list, but yeah, it was definitely interesting. It was definitely unusual, but it was surprising, but yeah.
But yeah, you make top 8, and at this point, you're probably thinking along the lines of, okay, I just need to win 2 matches, and I win Worlds.
Yeah, like this is insane. I'm like, wow, like I made top 8, 3 out of 3. This is insane. Like I have a third, no win. I'm top 8ing right now. Like this is crazy. And all my friends are messaging me back home, like, oh yeah, congrats Andrew, let's do this. Come on, pull through.
Just do it. And so, let's talk about the last several matches about your miracle run. What did you play in top 8, bro?
I'm playing against Night March.
Yeah.
So honestly, they were pretty bad games for him. I'm not gonna lie. Game one was just like he underestimated like my setup, and I think he only gets like maybe 3 Night Marchers in discard.
Yeah.
And he gets like a Pumpkaboo out, and I'm actually able to pull out a turn 1 Toad with a DC with a Fighting Fury Belt and a Giovanni scheme on the Pumpkaboo to knock it out.
Yeah.
And I think at that point the Toad literally just took 5 prizes. So that's why like the Toad's so good, right? So like the Toad Fighting Fury Belt combo like literally just swept this entire field with the Giovanni scheme.
Yeah.
Like I Giovanni'd like almost every turn.
Yeah.
And the Giovanni's plus Toad combo pretty much swept game 1. So like I think the Toad alone took like 5 prizes in the turn he knocked it out. Finally, when I had 1 prize left, I had like maybe a 10-12 card hand. And I literally just like promoted my Gallade. Or I think I promoted like a Zoroark or something, and I just attached a DC, and that was it. So,
wow.
Game 2, he chooses to go first.
Yeah.
So I'm able to take the turn 1 knockout, going second on his Joltik, and he starts trading with me, right? So he starts trading with me. He's using puzzle all the times. There's one turn where he's Sycamored, and I had a Fright Knight active. So I put previously I knocked out a Pumpkaboo. I put 60 damage on a shaman, and at that point he has to knock out the Fright Knight, right? So he Sycamores, but he doesn't hit the DC.
Oof.
So basically that was the end of the game. So basically at that point I basically Lysandered I basically Lysandered up his Joltik on the bench.
Ugh.
And with the Fright Knight, and I was able to take 3 more prizes that turn off, 2 off a Shaman and 1 off the Pumpkaboo. So at this point, I have a 4 prize card lead.
Oof.
And I have a Druidagon, I have a Gallade, I have a Zoroark, I have a baby Yveltal on my bench.
You're basically saying, come at me, bro.
Yeah, he didn't have much, honestly. It wasn't. I felt pretty bad. I felt pretty bad that he whiffed it, honestly. Because if he did hit it, it would have been a lot closer. Because then there's no way I would have been able to take 3 prizes that turn, right?
Right.
So he whiffs it. And then he kind of just passes, and I take 3 prizes. He hits it the next. He actually top decks the DC at the next turn as well. So he's able to knock out my Fright Knight Yveltal, and I basically just come out with Oblivion Wing. I knock it out. I'm at 1 prize, and then he's just okay, whatever. I'm not winning this. And that was it. That was the series.
Wow. Oof. So
top 4 right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty. How nervous are you going to top 4?
I'm not really that nervous considering how I'm playing against Trevenant.
Oh.
So I'm playing against Trevenant, and it's the exact same guy I actually faced in the finals at Ontario.
Woo.
Jordan Burlock. So
yeah.
I mean anything could happen, right?
Right.
But I went in knowing that I had a decently favorable matchup. So also one thing to note is that in all of Quebec, every single round in Swiss and every single round in Cut, I lost the coin flip.
What?
Every single round. I'm not even kidding you. Literally, ask all my opponents. I'm not even kidding you. Literally, every single round in Swiss and every round in Cut, I lost the flip. And every round, I'm going second. And I'm going second against Trevenant. And I'm pretty upset because I'm going second against Trevenant. This sucks. And and he gets turn 1 item lock. He's doing okay. And I end up knocking out his Shaman. Sorry, I end up knocking out his Trevenant eventually. But I think he only has a Wobbuffet act. He doesn't have another Phantom on the bench. So he brings up his Wobbuffet, which is his only Pokemon. And it's really funny because his hand is just a bunch of trainers and a Shaman. And he can't Shaman because he has the Wobbuffet. So basically he's stuck active with the Wobbuffet. And eventually I end up just knocking it out. And I end up taking a cheap game 1 because he's not able to play down his Shaman. I mean, he ends up benching it so he doesn't lose. But there was really nothing that he could do because I eventually knocked out his Wobbuffet. Phantom on his bench.
So hold on a second. I'm gonna be a bit of a slowpoke here, and just say you every single game you lost the coin flip.
Yep, every round in Quebec. And it was really ironic because in Ontario I went first. I think I won the coin flip. I think every round except for I think I won the coin flip actually every round except for round 2 when I lost against mirror matchup.
Yeah.
And I think I won the coin flip every single round after that. But
what were you? Did you have a reverse Fennekin coin or something?
No, I don't know what happened, but in Quebec I literally lost the flip. And it was really funny because every round we flipped the different dice. My opponents flipped their own dice. Next round I would flip my die. Next round my opponent would flip his die. Next round I would flip my die. And literally it was always me going second or me losing the flip. Literally every single round.
Well, I have some bad luck, but my luck has never been that bad. But then again, it almost worked for you. It actually not almost. It did work for you. You still end up doing really. You won the event, so.
I mean, I could have done really bad against Trevenant in top 4, and then game 2 against Trevenant. Game 2's going by pretty 50-50.
Yeah.
He's not able to do that much damage, but neither am I because he got turn 1. I think he got turn 1 Trevenant out again. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But once again, I'm able to pull out a Fright Knight, like every other round against Trevenant, and I promote my Fright Knight, and he has a break, and I think I Giovanni's Scheme, and I one-shot the Giovanni Scheme for 160, and I think at that point he didn't expect me to knock it out, and he has no other Phantoms on his field, and I think that was basically the game. He didn't seem to have anything after that.
Oh.
And I basically just like, I think I knocked out a Shaman after that, and I knocked out a Wobbuffet, and that was basically the game. So kudos to him. He gave up like 2 pretty good games, but unfortunately it wasn't enough for Fright Night. Shout out to Fright Night. Honestly, Fright Night's like so broken.
Yeah, Fright Night might be the best card in this deck, to be honest.
Honestly, Fright Night was probably the MVP for all 3 tournaments. Like I don't know if you've been paying really close attention. Like honestly, Fright Night's been winning me games against Vileplume, against like literally everyone against Trevenant. It won me the mirror several times, and it really won me. It really won me like just a lot of games in general. It's just super good.
Yeah, actually, was gonna talk about the Fright Night because of how really good it was. You know, it just Fright Night is really good. Like, it's not good to the point where you just play like I don't know, like 2, maybe 3 of them. It's just so good as a 1-of in like so many decks. Some people play as a 2-of, but I think you don't really need
I wouldn't play
it.
2. I wouldn't play 2 for sure. Definitely only the 1. I never ever needed more than 1.
Yeah, I think like a 2-1 split with like the Oblivion Wing to set up the other Yveltal, the big. But like, that's really cool. So I actually wanted to go over something I forgot. I kind of neglected at least a little bit. After your top 4 match and you won, how happy were you, knowing that you secured your invite right there?
I was ecstatic, but I didn't really like. I wasn't really like. I don't know. It's to that point where I don't really think about it. Like I was more just focused on the win because like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for a 2 for 2. That's gonna be pretty sick if I do that. So at that point, like I knew I got my invite, but I was like, you know what, whatever. Like I'm just gonna think about that later. I'm gonna play my heart out in the finals again. Yeah. I'm gonna do my absolute best, see if I can pull it home again.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm going to World States. Yeah, sure. I've been there before. Let's win another states back to back.
Yeah, and then my girlfriend's like texting me like, "Congrats, Andrew! Congrats! Oh my God, you can do it! I'm so proud of you!" And I'm like, I'm so happy, and I'm like, okay. Let me play finals first. Let's see what happens. And I'm actually facing Maine Ahmed for the 3rd provincials or 3rd state/provincials back to back.
Wow.
So at this point, I'm 2-0 against him in Ontario and Quebec. I'm sorry, Ontario and Michigan.
Wow.
So I did beat him at Michigan and Ontario. So like at this point, he's going for his rematch in the finals. So we're playing in the finals. He actually beats me game 1. He destroys me game 1 actually. It wasn't that good for me. I think he's able to knock out a Shaman that I had to bench, and he's not able to knock out an Yveltal EX that I also had to bench. So like he takes a big lead. He just destroys me game 1. Game 2, the Drudagon came clutch. I was able to trade. I didn't drop a single EX. I took the prize lead, and basically they were pretty bland games. And then game 3, well, except for game 1. Game 1 he destroyed me pretty hard. But game 3, he's able to like burn down his hand completely. And I thought he had a Sycamore. Like I thought he had like a Shaman or something. He was gonna draw cards for 6. And then he reveals his last card to be an unknown in his hand. So he has absolutely nothing on his field. He has like a 3/3 Basilican line, like maybe 20 Pokemon in discard. And at this point I'm like, and he has 1 card, and it's an unknown. So I'm like, oh, and he has no DC on the field. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of awkward. So this guy has to get really lucky off this unknown. And he hasn't played a supporter yet. So he plays this unknown. He farewell letters, and he ends up drawing like a Combi. So he benches the Combi, and his field is literally probably just like an Yveltal with no energies, a 3/3 Vileplume, and like a Combi. Or sorry, a 3/3 Vastaquin and a Combi. No DCs. He's not attacking me. So unfortunately for him, I'm able to take 3 prizes back to back on like 3 Vastaquins. Because he doesn't end up drawing that much for the next 3 turns. He finally draws out of it eventually. Mm-hmm. But it was honestly way too late. Like I had such a prize lead at that point. I think I had maybe 2 prizes left while he had 5 left. And I had no EXs on the field. He had a Shaman on the field too. So I think at that point I just took 2 prizes with Zoroark and I think Yveltal. I think I Darkness Bladed for the win. I set up a Darkness Blade. So like I think the last turn I just needed to hit the energy, and I just brought up the Yveltal and attached and Darkness Bladed, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you have basically a monstrous run through states and provincials, and you basically made your invite solely on the back of your states. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have that much more time since we are running about 90 minutes at this point, but. Yeah. Normally, I would end the video more or less along the lines of like, how close are you to your world's invite, and as we already touched, you already have it basically on the back of your states. You know, Like Steven Singer, like made almost as many championship points as you. He got 2 seconds in a top four, but he had 60 championship points to begin with. You even had less than him, and that's just the incredible thing to me. Like you went to 3 states and you just destroyed all of them and just got your right there. It's like you're like, oh, I'm going for world champion. I don't just need to go. All I need to do is go to states on end worlds. And that's exactly what you did.
I had no expectations, man. Like I went into Michigan trying to have a good time. Like I was like, you know what? If I do well, I'm gonna hit up the other two. If I don't, then whatever. I'll just go to Nats.
Yeah,
Like honestly, like
I was with Canadian Nats.
I mean, I'm gonna go for it, right? I'm gonna try for day two. Why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I honestly had no expectations, and I was pretty happy at the end of the day. At the end of the day,
Oh yeah, that's extremely impressive on your part. And once again, thank you for. I apologize since we are out of time,
it's okay, man.
but thank you once again for doing this video with me and just and sharing us your really good and really strong list with us. And
It was a pleasure. I hope you guys like it, or let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about that one shaman too.
yeah, in the comment section below, either here or on Verbank, whatever.
Yeah. It's okay, whatever.
And thank you once again, Andrew, and thank you everyone for tuned in and watched today. Then please stay tuned for future videos and future content with deck analysis and reviews and stuff like that. And I shall see you guys hopefully next time.